I'm Tyler Keefe from the studios of our flagship stations, 89.3 Lakes FM and Civic Center TV on Comcast, Channel 15, and AT&T Channel 99, where you can also find us in the Birmingham-Bloomfield area, on Birmingham Area Municipal Access, and on City Cable 15 of Southfield. Join us live on Channel 10 in Waterford every day on the media network of Waterford, and live to tape on Orion Township and Lake Orion's Channel 10 on Orion Neighborhood Television or ONTV. You can also find us live on the radio in the Birmingham, Bloomfield, and Troy areas on the Biff Radio Network located on 88.1 The Biff, a service of the Bloomfield Hills School District. Find us online on our Facebook pages at Civic Center TV 15 and at Lakes FM, on our website, civiccentertv.com, or on My Michigan TV beginning at 11 o'clock during the Michigan Megacast, otherwise known as MyMy, at mymytv.com, where you can also learn more about downloading their free smartphone and smart TV apps as well. All that information is on our website at civiccentertv.com/Megacast, where you can also find all of our programs on demand as well as each individual interview as well. Now let's head over to our coronavirus page, civiccentertv.com/coronavirus, where we have links to the most up-to-date information on COVID-19 from reliable expert resources at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, and the Oakland County Health Division, so that you can stay up to date on everything that you need to know about COVID-19, including the spread of the virus in your community, precautionary tactics that can prevent the spread of the virus or your chances of contracting the virus, as well as vaccinations and booster shots as well. Also on the coronavirus page at civiccentertv.com/coronavirus, we feature articles from journalistic outlets throughout the state of Michigan in order to keep you updated on COVID-19 and other stories making headlines across the Great Lakes state. Our top story today from Bridge, Michigan continues their coronavirus tracker, which indicates lower cases and positive rates are also remaining low. Michigan continues to emerge from the Omicron wave of COVID-19, with hospitals treating fewer COVID patients and fewer on average new cases. The state reported 1,575 new cases, or an average of 788 for Thursday and Friday of last week. These numbers are as of Friday at 5:11 p.m. That lowered the average daily rate of 651 cases over the past week. It's the lowest daily average since August 1st of last year, when the average case numbers were out at about 633 cases. Also making headlines, civiccentertv.com/coronavirus from the Detroit News. At Oxford Community Schools, new positions are aimed at healing. The Oxford School District will create a 3-year recovery plan and hire a recovery coordinator to address student mental health needs in the wake of last year's mass shooting in November, the superintendent announced this week. Ken Weaver, who was promoted to superintendent on March 4th, announced Thursday Oxford Community Schools has created several new positions, including a recovery coordinator and an executive director of student services and wellness. The new positions are to ensure students get the support and care that they need in order to heal, said Weaver, who has been Deputy Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction since 2014. Weaver said the district is also adding 2 counseling positions to the high school and 2 family school liaisons who will work with students to improve social and emotional behavior at the elementary school level. Quote, over the past 3 months, we have been working to establish a, quote, new normal, end closed quote, at Oxford High School, said Weaver in a statement. The superintendent continued on saying, quote, it has been a difficult but rewarding process to see our students begin to recover and resume some of their previous activities and routines. We know that we have a long journey ahead of us, one that may take several years for some of our students, end closed quote. On November 30th, 4 Oxford High School students were killed in the shooting. Hannah St. Juliana, 14 years old, Madison Baldwin, 17 years old, Tate Mears, 16 years old, and Justin Schilling at 17 years old as well. 6 students and a teacher were also wounded in the massacre. The school had about 1,650 students in class the day of the shooting, with about 100 teachers and staff, according to the Oakland County Sheriff's Office. The recovery coordinator will coordinate the mental health recovery efforts across the district, as well as coordinate trauma clinicians, therapy dogs, community outreach, and student response, according to Superintendent Weaver. The position is funded through a 3-year federal grant program. The amount of the grant was not available as of Friday afternoon to the press. The Student Services and Wellness job will oversee building level mental health programs and personnel for all students. This includes guidance services, social work, social emotional learning, and restorative practices. The position is a permanent one, according to Weaver. The family school liaisons, who will be social workers, will be funded with state and Medicaid money. 2 counseling positions will be added to the high school to lower caseloads to address the increased needs of students. These positions are in addition to the existing 4 positions already established at Oxford High School. These positions are funded through a 3-year federal grant. Oxford parent Brian Cooper said on Friday he was encouraged to hear about the new positions, saying, quote, "I feel they are necessary in the process of healing. I'm concerned about whether or not there will be people interested or available to apply for the positions," he said in that quote. The superintendent Weaver said the district has received advice from 5 schools that have experienced similar trauma, guidance from mental health experts who specialize in addressing trauma, and feedback from the community. Quote, "We also know that we are going to have many ups and downs in the coming weeks, months, and years as we experience events that will bring about strong emotions from our school community," Weaver said, continuing on. "Through it all, we must continue to lean on each other and work together to strengthen our resolve and come through this tragedy," and closed quote. Weaver said after the district's spring break, which is next week, he will announce a process for creating a recovery plan that will focus on safety, mental health, staff retention and wellness, social emotional learning, community outreach, and a permanent memorial process. The district will seek parent and staff input through a survey and will host forums for high school students, parents, and staff as well. Quote, "We will share the plan and host a town hall to receive feedback from our stakeholders," the superintendent said. That full article from the Detroit News on our website, civiccentertv.com/coronavirus. Additionally, making headlines this morning from the Detroit News, the University of Michigan has named a longtime dean as its new provost. The University of Michigan School of Dentistry Dean Lori McCauley will become the school's second most senior academic officer. The Board of Regents on Thursday of last week approved McCauley's appointment as provost and executive vice president for academic affairs at the recommendation of interim school president Mary Sue Coleman. Quote, "Our university will greatly benefit from Dean McCauley's proven leadership skills, depth of experience, and demonstrated commitment to teaching, discovery, and higher education," said Coleman. McCauley's 13-month appointment is effective May 6th of this year. She currently earns $547,892 annually and will be paid $570,000 in her new role. Besides serving as dean of the University of Michigan's dental school since 2013, McCauley has served as the chair of health sciences, dean council and as academic co-lead on the planning efforts for the university's next major capital campaign. The provost is the chief academic officer and responsible for collaborating with the president on academic priorities and allocating funding. She arrives as the University of Michigan is beginning a search for a new president. The Board of Regents fired U of M President Mark Schlissel in January after Regents said a series of emails showed an inappropriate relationship with a subordinate, to say the very least. U of M faced a wave of sexual assault scandals during ousted Schlissel's tenure that past victims say reflects the attitude of neglect by leadership at the university. McCauley succeeds Susan Collins, who is departing the University of Michigan in May to become president and CEO of the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston. Collins stepped into the University of Michigan's provost position in 2020 amid the departure of Martin Filbert, the former provost, who left the university amid sexual misconduct allegations. U of M in 2020 agreed to pay $9.25 million to 8 women who said they were victimized by the previous provost, Filbert. That full article from the Detroit News, as well as supporting materials, on our website, civiccentertv.com/coronavirus. Our last headline today from the Detroit Free Press in the Detroit area. Hugh Perkins and Monica Gale bid farewell in their final broadcast on Fox 2 Detroit on Friday after 25 years anchoring their 6 o'clock news. Hugh Perkins and Monica Gale bid farewell to viewers Friday in their final broadcast as anchors at Fox 2 Detroit. They've long been household names in the Motor City, teaming up to deliver local TV news and forging a strong bond with viewers over a quarter of a century. They said their final goodbyes with the 6 p.m. newscast. Fellow anchors Roop Raj and Amy Lang paid tribute to Perkins and Gale in a pair of retrospective segments during the final broadcast. Perkins and Gale then offered a heartfelt final on-air message to their viewers, coworkers, and families. The 2 anchors started as a team in 1997 and announced their decision to retire together just a few weeks ago on February 23rd of this year. Quote, "To have the privilege of working with the same team in the same city with loyal viewers like you for 25 years is extraordinary, and for that, we are so grateful," said Gale. Quote, "Grateful that you have embraced us as part of your family," added Perkins, who continued on saying, quote, "Invited us into your homes, allowed us to tell your stories, to share your joy, your sorrow, your dreams, to cheer on with you. when the Red Wings won the Stanley Cup or the Tigers made it to the World Series, or even as the Lions just kept trying and trying to do the best that they could, end closed quote. All those headlines on our website, civiccentertv.com/coronavirus, as well as those helpful links to accurate, up-to-date information on COVID-19 from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, and the Oakland County Health Division. We have a great program ahead on this Monday edition of the Oakland County Megacast. Coming up next, we'll be joined by Kitty Dubin, a playwright and also an assistant professor in the theater department at Oakland University, followed by a 1040 interview with Pingree Detroit's Jarrett Schlaff. That's all coming up next. This is the Oakland County Megacast.
Who is struggling right now?
I am.
My son is.
Many are struggling with anxiety, depression, and substance use. Before it becomes a crisis, reach out to MyCal, the Michigan Crisis and Access Line, for free confidential support 24/7. Available in the Upper Peninsula and Oakland County. Just call or text 1-844-44-MyCal or chat online at michigan.gov/MyCal. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Motorcyclists are hard to see. To keep everyone safer, it's important to always look for them and know where most crashes occur. 84% of motorcycle and vehicle crashes happen on streets, not highways. And most crashes with motorcyclists occur when vehicle drivers are turning left. So before turning, especially to the left, make sure you look for motorcyclists. Then look again. It could save a life.
To Sophia and Gabriel. Even though these old knees can't follow on your adventure to the forest today, these flowers represent my love. These stitches and threads join us together. And wherever you see a flower, a bird, a beautiful tree, know that my love is with you.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
We're joined now by a award-winning playwright and a lecturer in theater and playwriting at Oakland University. Kitty Dubin joins us now on the Michigan Megacast. Kitty, thank you for being with us.
Hi, Tyler. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate having you on. So can you tell us about your playwriting career? Before you got to Oakland University, and as you've been at Oakland University, tell us a little bit about your career and how it led you to ultimately teaching the next generation of playwrights about your craft.
Well, two things. I've always been a teacher. I started out actually in Cleveland, Ohio as a middle school teacher, and then moved to Detroit 52 years ago when I was 2 years old. Haha, only kidding. And then got my master's degree, and so I've always loved teaching. But I started writing plays when I was got my master's degree at Wayne State and had to write a play. It won a contest. It was produced, and I thought, wow, this is something I can do. So I started pursuing playwriting at the same time as teaching, and my two passions finally merged when I approached Oakland in 1997 to teach. And I've been continuing with my own career at the same time I've been teaching for these past 25 years at Oakland.
So playwriting, much like any kind of writing, there's a different formula, there's a different approach that goes into writing a stage play versus a screenplay, writing a screenplay or a stage play versus a novel or a short story. So for you, where does your process start as you're devising a story and ultimately building that characterization and building that plot for the stage?
Well, I want to just pick up on what you just said, because the first thing I do in my classes is differentiate between a play script and a novel and a screenplay, because those kids have seen a million movies, read a million novels, and probably seen one or two plays maybe in their lives. So it's really important, because a play is its own animal. and it's separate. It has similar story elements, but it's very different. Because when you're reading something, you can, like take your time and, go back a few paragraphs if you haven't understood something, but a play comes at you very, very fast, and you have to digest it as you're going along. So that's very important. But what I stress with my students is really telling a story through dialogue, because it's all dialogue, of someone going through some kind of journey of change where they're a little bit different by the end of the play than they are when they start the play.
We're joined by Katie Duman, award-winning playwright and lecturer in playwriting at at Oakland University in their theater department, joining us on the Megacast. And it's such an important, the writing is so important in any form of entertainment, especially in original storytelling, whether it be for the stage or for the screen, whatever the case may be. The writing is really where it starts. And I don't recall who it was that I had heard say this, but I was watching an interview at some point. No, it was Bryan Cranston. I was watching some interview years ago with Bryan Cranston, who explained what made Breaking Bad such a great show and what made Malcolm in the Middle and other programs he's been on so excellent. And he said, you can have really great performance, but really great performance is never going to overshadow bad writing. Good writing can overshadow bad performance, but it won't be as good. And when the two coalesce, you have something that's truly excellent. And that's why it's so important for this next generation of people that are going into show business, particularly for the theater, that they understand the importance of high-quality writing and putting on these great stage plays. And so when you arrived at Oakland University in 1997, there was no playwriting class, there was no playwriting program at Oakland University. And so for you, as you were envisioning what the needs would be for these future playwrights, given the context of your career up until that point, and as you've progressed through your career and your teaching career as well, how has that program then been developed and then changed over the years to make sure that these students understand just how important playwriting is to the theater?
Oh, there's so much in there. Yeah. I am a huge believer in structure. A play, they talk about a script having good bones, and a play really has to have good bones and really follow, it has to have all the elements of structure, a protagonist, an antagonist, rising action, all these things that you kind of learn in high school, but how to implement those things is another story. So I really stress that, and then it's changed so much over the years because, oh my goodness, I remember the first year I taught, someone wrote a play about coming out. Oh my gosh, that was like, huh, that subject really hadn't been explored. Well, now that, I'm not saying that play would be passé, but it's evolved so much in the culture. So students are writing about different things. We're reading different plays as examples. But I pretty much have stuck all the way through because of my own studies in playwriting and my own learning, as a professional playwright and going to see so many plays, hundreds and hundreds of plays, what works and what doesn't. And that's what I like to share with my students, both my professional realm and my craft realm. I mean, besides just my master's degree, I've taken many, many different classes from playwrights in, how to write plays.
So theater has changed, entertainment has changed, and certainly the people that are in the industry has changed over the course of many years, even in just the last few years. And so over the 25 years that you've been teaching playwriting at Oakland University, how has your approach then had to be modified to, the changing paradigms in show business and how that context provides guidance for the future of playwriting, but also for the changes in how students learn and how ultimately this next generation of writers are going to be approaching their craft?
Yes. Well, again, I really like to stress the model of structure because a lot of kids come in and think, oh, I can be very abstract and I like to be mysterious and I don't want to pander to the audience. And they don't realize it's not pandering to make it clear what you're talking about. So again, structure, character, dialogue, making sure characters are relatable, that one can follow the dialogue. And what we do in class is replicate the process that professional playwrights go through, which is after they've written a first draft, the playwright casts the play within the class, and we read it out loud, and then discuss what is working, and then what needs to be fixed in a rewrite. And then they go back and rewrite, because it is so different from short story or novel where you just read the play silently. You don't know until you read a play aloud, because that's how it's intended to be presented, what's working or not. You find out, oh, that was funny, or I thought it was funny, but then it isn't funny when we read it, or that didn't land. I thought I was communicating that, but something is missing, and then you find you have to add something, or you need more exposition because you didn't realize the couple was married, or they, whatever. So you learn your reading aloud in the class is like your biggest rewrite tool, because that tells you what you need to attend to in your rewrite.
Yeah, collaboration is so important in any form of entertainment, really in any industry, especially in today's world. And so having that opportunity to go through those rewrites, to get that vision of yours out there and have other people look it over, but also to, as you said, visualize the writing as it's meant to be delivered, and that's a good guidance for rewriting and for further building your story. We're joined by Kitty Dubin, award-winning playwright and lecturer at Oakland University in theater and playwriting, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. This is really interesting, and it's close to my heart because it has parallels to something I participated in when I was in college at Michigan State, between their communications department and their theater department. It was a project called Theater to Film, where students would write a screenplay that would then be converted into a stage play, or vice versa, and it would be produced both as a stage play and then shot as a feature film, and later would be then showed at the Traverse City Film Festival. Very similar thing has happened over at Oakland University that you've been involved with. You and the late Professor Tom Suda, who was teaching directing, came together to present a showcase where directing students would work with playwriting students to collaborate and produce a play together. Can you talk about your collaboration with Tom Suda in creating this program, and then the impact of a program like this on the education of theater students really across the board, wherever area of interest in the theater that they're looking to go into?
Well, yeah, since I've been teaching there, I have always been on the lookout for places where these plays that my students are writing can be performed in front of an audience. I mean, it's one thing to read it in the class, it's another thing to be in front of an audience. And just besides Oakland, my students have had plays in many, many festivals all throughout Michigan theaters and beyond. But at Oakland, I approached Tom Suda because he was teaching the directing class. And, each director was always directing a play from a book of plays. And I said, why don't your directing students, each one direct one of my student-written plays? So we did that for a few semesters, and then Professor Suda passed away, and then I looked around again, and this past year I did the same thing with Professor David Graham, where and what was great about that is his directing students were showcased, my playwriting students were showcased, and the Oakland actors were showcased. And I cannot tell you what a thrill it is when you are starting to write plays and you have one performed in front of an audience and you get the response that you intended to have.
Yeah, and it's great opportunities, too, for these students to collaborate and to build those partnerships, build those relationships with who will be their colleagues in their profession in theater, because there's a saying that I was told when I was in school at Michigan State, when working mostly on the film side of things, that it's a big world, but it's a small world. And I think that applies to anywhere in entertainment. Having those opportunities to build those relationships, I mean, those can be great partnerships, or at the very least, help you hone your skills in one area that may be lacking or may need some improvement while you're helping somebody else. And that kind of collaboration, you speak to how important that is really to bolstering the education and the purpose of classes like yours and classes like David Graham's and the late Tom Suda's in building this next generation of theater professionals.
Totally. And it's a wonderful, it's like, there is none of that, like when we have our discussion, our feedback sessions about the plays. I've never had anyone be snarky or mean. They are extremely generous in their praise when it is warranted, and they are also very honest and direct when they find something that isn't clear or needs to be bolstered or whatever. And it's really like a supportive little creative village of souls. Really, everybody's sort of rooting for each other to be able to produce their best work.
We're joined by Kitty Dubin, an award-winning playwright and a lecturer at Oakland University in theater and in playwriting, joining us on the Megacast. And so you have had a long career in playwriting. You've met a lot of people over the years and taught a lot of people over the years that are professionals in theater and are professional playwrights themselves. For those that may not be Oakland University students or may not be able to take your class but are interested in playwriting, do have a passion for playwriting, want to be a playwright themselves, what is your lasting advice for those people as they look to start their playwriting journey and maybe even build a career in theater playwriting?
They have to learn what the form is first. I mean, I know a few people actually in town who were screenwriters or prose writers, and they wrote a play, and these are really good writers, and they sent them to me for feedback. And what was shocking to me is here they are, professional writers, but they weren't plays. So the first thing is they really have to know how a play differs from other forms of writing. And I always give my students a bibliography. There are not a million, but there are quite a few good playwriting books that, delineate what you have to have and what elements have to be in a play and how it differs. So I would say to anyone, either take a class or at least read a book so you actually know what a play should be. Because I know a lot of theaters get submissions and they're just not plays, and they're going to be tossed out before the first paragraph's read.
Kitty, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
To Sofia and Gabriel, even though these old knees can't follow on your adventure to the forest today, these flowers represent my love. These stitches and threads join us together. And wherever you see a flower, a bird, a beautiful tree, know that my love is with you.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
72.7% of high school students get less than the recommended 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. This can cause pain, obesity, and can very negatively affect your mental health. When you have a consistent 7 to 9 hours of sleep every day, you get sick less often, lose more weight, and have better relationships with those around you. For more information about the dangers of sleep deprivation, go to sleepfoundation.org. This message is brought to you by the WBHS Digital Media Arts Program and 89.3 Lakes FM.
Everyone wants wants to support local businesses, and what's even better is when these businesses create their products in our backyard with people from right here in Michigan. One Detroit business is doing just that. Pingree Detroit CEO and co-founder Jarrett Schlaff joins us now on the Megacast. Jarrett, thank you for being with us.
It's great to be with you today. Thanks.
Appreciate having you on. So we've had you on before to talk about Pingree Detroit, but for those that haven't seen our previous interview with you or aren't familiar with Pingree Detroit, tell us about your business.
Of course. So first, I was actually born and raised in Waterford, went to Waterford schools, went to Oakland University, and the company itself, we're based right here in Detroit. Had the chance to live in Detroit since 2010. Our company didn't start with the product. We started with purpose in mind. So we started with the goal of making meaningful living wage work in Detroit. We saw a need and opportunity to create that meaningful work alongside U.S. veterans and Detroiters. And so when we started, we were seeking what we could make. At the time, we hadn't made shoes since the 1950s in Detroit. We actually launched the first sneakers made in the city back in 2018, and since have expanded to everything from our junkyard dog leashes to we have wallets, everything made with leather and seatbelts upcycled from the Detroit auto industry.
And so you mentioned veterans being a critical part of that, and that is a really interesting point, is that a lot of these products that you're creating are being created by veterans that you're hiring to fill these jobs when they come out of the service and are looking for that first civilian job after exiting the military and retiring from their services. And so all these products are made right here in Michigan by civilians and by military veterans. Tell us the story of how that effort got started in hiring or looking actively to hire veterans into this operation to create these Detroit-made products.
Of course. I'll start by saying every organization, every business can benefit from mission-driven individuals, especially veterans. So we're thrilled and lucky to have leaders on our team. Our co-owners include veterans. The whole design of our business is really mission first. So when we started and we decided, we saw this as an opportunity, as a need. We were meeting folks, especially even in my neighborhood, who couldn't find meaningful work. And so we decided, what can we create with our hands? What can we make? How can we create a business that develops, advances folks, teaches a skilled trade, and then gives equity? So we actually share 77 cents of every dollar in profit with the veterans and Detroiters in our team. We do free skilled trades training, industrial sewing, shoemaking, leather crafting, machine repair. Thanks to a ton of partners, we're able to do this, and we're really trying to be rooted in the neighborhood in which we're a part of.
And so talk about those partnerships. What are some of those partnerships that allow you to put these efforts forward? Because it's pretty unique in any business, a large business or a small business that's locally owned, to provide that kind of training opportunities for your employees on top of their everyday work.
Definitely. I could spend an entire program just going through a list of all the partners, so I can't do all that. But I'll say a few top of mind. The state of Michigan has been amazing, partnering with us both through like the Skilled Trades Training Fund to give us some dollars towards some of those training costs. As a small business that still some months aren't profitable and year to year are still working on getting that balance. We've depended on relationships with folks like Lear, Eagle Ottawa, Ford, GM, Rocket Mortgage, all these different groups and individuals who have supported us with training dollars, resources of equipment, materials. So, we've gotten this leather, and some seatbelts are actually donated. So folks like Autoliv just donated this. Actually, this is car seatbelt webbing from the company Autoliv out of Auburn Hills that literally donate these seatbelts that we use for testing that we turn into dog leashes, and then the handles on that leather, right? This nice leather handle, that's literally seatbelts, car seats, steering wheel, and headrest leather from our partners at Autoliv as well as Lear and Eagle Ottawa. So with their support, mentorship, financial dollars, it makes our work possible.
We're joined by Jarrett Schlaff, the CEO and co-founder of Pingree Detroit, joining us on the Megacast. Price also a big factor for you on the business side, but also for customers and every product that's being made and being sold. And one of the added benefits of having your products being locally sourced and locally made is you're not factoring in so much of those shipping costs or those import costs as well that often play into the final price of these products and the amount of money that you and then and your employees are able to make from the production of these products. Can you talk about the importance of having these products that you're selling in Detroit or out of Detroit also being made in the city of Detroit?
Of course. Yeah, so one thing that's unique about us is we actually source every single component from the United States. It's very, very difficult. We're close to having that across every product line, but things like our leash, right? This is made in America. It's extremely hard to source hardware in America. Our label is sewn in America. Every piece of hardware component, there's only a few things like some of our, or there's a few key parts that just aren't made in the United States. But otherwise, the things that are, we source locally. So we're both expanding, creating more American jobs. We're keeping things local, reducing the carbon footprint, and we can share those cost savings with folks as well. So like our leashes are $29.99, right? It's an accessible price point. We've got, $44 trifold wallets. Our coasters are $21.99. Great gift, comes with the story, comes with the impact. With our Corktown coasters, our mouse pads are, $20. So really a goal of what our cost is to make it, enough markup to cover our lights and bill, and have some go back to the team in our neighborhoods. But our core focus is being competitive, creating goods that last a lifetime, and then really just infusing that right back into the city of Detroit and broader Michigan.
We're joined by Jared Schlaff, the CEO and co-founder of Pingree Detroit, with us on the Oakland County Megacast. So talk to us also about Corktown coasters. It's another great product that you manufacture right in the city of Detroit, using products from right here in Michigan.
Yeah, what's fun with the coasters, we actually just are now in a few stores across Michigan, including the new Meyer Market downtown, the Somerset collection at the Detroit shop, and a few other boutiques across the city that can all be found on our website. And then these ship direct to you for free, no cost in shipping. And inside the actual coasters, one side is leather, the other side is cork. The cork's actually upcycled from the production of wine bottles, which is really cool. So you got upcycled cork, upcycled car seat leather, united together with our logo embossed. We like to say that wherever your drink is, you always have the best seat in the house, right? Literally and figuratively. So yeah, the Corktown coasters at $21.99. Great gift. Comes with a set of 4, and it's one of our biggest sellers.
Yeah, we just talked to Dr. Mushkan Raji from Oakland University about sustainability, and part of that is taking these products that are being used, these materials that are being used to create products in Michigan and all throughout the U.S., really, and being able to use the scraps from those parts to create other products as well. How important is it for your organization, on top of providing great opportunities for veterans and civilians and for creating these products in Detroit by Detroiters, to also be thinking about the greater good of the environment and the wider community in the future, and reducing the amount of waste coming out of the city that can often have an increased impact on city areas?
Of course. Great question. Starting off, we're all literally in this together. So understanding that when stuff goes to landfill, it doesn't just go away. There's no such thing as a way. A way is some person's backyard. A way is our watershed. So as much as we can keep out of the landfill, we can work towards creating this circular economy where if we design and engineer products so that at the end of the useful life of that, it can be recycled, upcycled, turning into something else, then we've done a good job. And so at Pingree, our goal is to be 100% waste-free. We've actually diverted over 17 tons of leather from the landfill since we started in 2015. From our partnerships with the auto industry. So we're thrilled to be able to be a part of that journey. We know that there's a long way to go, and it takes time, but we'd love eventually to be a place where you could scan a QR code on your box, and when you keep that box, and 10 years, 15 years, 20 years later, got that little box in your closet, and your pair of shoes finally breaks down, or that leash finally is, it's had its amazing life and the dog chewed it up to a degree where it's unusable. You scan that QR code, we ship you a box back, you send it back to us, we deconstruct it and send you a discount for another one. We want to create that closed loop system and eventually be able to, shred that, reluminate it into fibers, there's a way to do it. It takes money, it takes his resources, it takes a lot of collaboration, but we believe we're up for the task.
Yeah, and what's great about that too is that it creates that cycle in the Detroit area, in the city of Detroit, in Michigan, to where these products are being recycled, they're being remade, they're being resold, and are benefiting the economy directly right here in Michigan and right there in Detroit, where Pingree Detroit is based. We're joined by CEO and co-founder Jarrett Schlaff from Pingree Detroit on the Oakland County Megacast. Can you talk about your your home goods line of Pingree products as well, because you're starting to expand your product base out to many different places in the Metro Detroit area, on top of in the city.
Of course. Yeah. So we recently launched our brand new mouse pad, which is really simple. It's double-sided, really, really soft, great for mousing. We also have a 2-in-1 trivet. So for, keeping the tables nice, adding a little centerpiece for when you're doing baking or outside grilling. We've got the 2-in-1 trivet. And then our Corktown coasters. We're also designing some other products as well with our home goods collection. We also have our Workfolio journal. That's great to sit on top of the desk for notes. It comes with a pen made by the National Institute for the Blind. It comes with a moleskin Workfolio. Those are, again, hand stitched. The stitching is guaranteed for life. So when a new idea is inspiring, pull out that Workfolio. You've got a piece that comes with a name. With all of our goods, it comes with the name of the veteran in Detroit who made it and a picture of them with a quote. So you really connect with who made your goods. And when someone says, "Wow, I like that Workfolio," you can say, "Yeah, this is made by Nate. He was an Air Force veteran in Detroit."
Yeah, that's really cool. And you can learn more about these products and learn more about the mission of Pingree Detroit by visiting the website, pingreedetroit.com. We're joined by CEO and co-founder Jarrett Schlaff with us on the Megacast. Again, that website, pingreedetroit.com. And so you mentioned earlier, you showed us earlier some of your Pingree Detroit shoes that you're also making from upcycled leather there at your business. Can you tell us about the shoe line, some of the different products that people are able to get through the Pingree Detroit shoes, and how those are also produced?
Of course. So a lot of times we've heard folks say that, our goods, they smell like a new car because they nearly were, right? And so with our Mayor sneaker, that's the same thing. We're only making about 10 pairs per month. And so we actually, when we did our 2022 drop on Veterans Day of last year, they sold out in a few days, right? So we literally sold all 120 pairs we can make for this year. We're currently making as we can speak. So we're taking folks onto a wait list. So if they go to our website, they'll see the Mayor sneaker. They can literally add their name, their shoe size. We're also, in the future, might be coming out with a little boot. That's the only teaser I'm going to share. So we're investing a lot into expanding that. We're hopefully going to have some exciting things to share in a couple months with a new partnership that I can't go into now, but it's inspiring us to the moon of what's possible when it comes to training and employment opportunities. And then, across the board, we've really been developing our pet line. So you can see this kind of Detroit made me. You got the Pingree pet bow ties, our collars, our dog leashes, even little things like a waist bag holder for $10. You after you knot your waist bag, you put it right here. So as you're tying this to the leash, you never have to carry a waist bag ever again. So anyone that's a dog parent, dog grandparent, these are a really fun little gifts with a little poop emoji, right? Nice. And so yeah, that's probably been one of our fastest growing lines, actually, our pet division.
We're joined by Pingree Detroit CEO and co-founder Jarrett Schlaff on the Megacast. More information on their website, pingreedetroit.com. That is pingreedetroit.com for more information and to shop online through Pingree Detroit. And so a couple more minutes with you, Jarrett, before we'll say goodbye. Anything else at this time that would be important for our audience to know, or anything else we should be on the lookout for on your website or at your physical location?
Great question. I would say one thing that's not necessarily on our website, but we just started leaning into, is beyond just the goods you can buy on our website. We've done cross-branded goods with a number of corporate, nonprofit, and different small business partners. So things like our Whittier wallet or a business card holder, they can be cross-branded. So for small runs of 10 up to, we've done 2,000 of one good. We can put your logo on our coasters along with ours, so it can tell the story of impact to give us gifts, whether it's employee gifts, partners, customers. We have that capability. So we invite folks to email us at team, TEAM, @pingreedetroit.com if you are interested in learning more about cross-branded collaborations. And then we're also looking for stores across Michigan and honestly the country to have our goods. So right now we're in our 9 stores, and we'd love to be in double that by the end of the year. So if any folks have a favorite store, they can make a connection. It would be such a gift to connect with stores and individuals who might be interested in cross-branded goods.
That email, team@pingree-detroit.com. Team@pingree-detroit.com. Their website, of course, pingree-detroit.com for more information. Jarrett, thank you so much for being with us.
It's such a gift as always. Happy Friday, everybody.
Can I ask you a question? Why did you get your kids vaccinated?
It was hard for them to social distance, to be isolated from their friends.
I want them to get back to school and sports games. So as a pediatrician, I recommend the vaccine to everyone I know.
The boys lost a former teammate and classmate who was only 20 years old. It's been a devastating year.
We want to get back to normalcy. Our daughter is really looking forward to being with her friends, being a kid.
It's the Great Lakes water. And so what people do ends up in our waterways.
Flushable wipes are just evil. They should be thrown away. They're impossible to destroy, and then they can cause significant problems.
One of the main things when you're cooking is to not dump fats, oils, and greases down your drains.
They stick to the sides of pipes. They stick to everything they come in contact with. Don't put it down the sink.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources. Call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
We may come from different organizations,
but we work together to protect the Huron River for everyone.
Neighborhood storm drains carry water directly to local creeks and streams. No filters, no treatment.
Storm drains also help reduce street flooding when it rains.
So clearing storm drains and the areas nearby of trash and leaves helps keep them for rain only.
It is easy to do your part by adopting a storm drain.
Find a storm drain, check it, and clear it every month.
So keep storm drains for rain only.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
If you are struggling to afford your internet bills during the pandemic, there's a temporary government program that may be able to help. It's called the Emergency Broadband Benefit, and it provides up to a $50 monthly discount on your broadband bill to qualifying households. Find more information about the program, including if you qualify and how to enroll, at fcc.gov/broadbandbenefit or call toll-free at 833-511-0311.
A public service announcement from 89.3 Lakes FM.
We as Michiganders feel connected to this resource in a way that I think is really powerful.
Conservation starts with a caring, committed community.
For me, it's peaceful to have a relationship with the river.
Every single one of us has a role to make sure that those waterways stay safe and healthy, being careful about what goes down the storm drain.
Just even eliminating some of your single-use plastic makes a difference.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
Did you know that nearly 3.31 million Americans don't get their annual checkup? Going to the doctor regularly is extremely important and is a crucial factor in maintaining good health. Make sure you are visiting your local doctor often and telling them about any health concerns you have. For more information, contact your local healthcare provider. This message is brought to you by WBHS Digital Media Arts Program and 89.3 Lakes FM.
People are getting out to walk and bike in higher numbers. More vulnerable road users and higher speed traffic can be a dangerous combination. Crash severity has increased, so if you're driving, be sure to slow down and look for people. There's no need to speed. If If you're biking, ride with traffic. If you're walking, avoid stepping into the road if possible. If you have to walk in the street, walk facing traffic. Learn more at walkbikedrivesafe.org.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources. Call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
Parents do a lot of worrying. Get your kids caught up on childhood vaccines to protect them from these 14 preventable diseases, and you'll have 14 fewer things to worry about. Vaccines are safe and effective and save lives. So let's get caught up on vaccines and worry about something else. Get the facts at ivaccinate.org.
You're listening to your radio homes for the Megacast 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake and 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills. The Michigan Megacast continues in just a moment.
Parents do a lot of worrying. Get your kids caught up on childhood vaccines to protect them from these 14 preventable diseases, and you'll have 14 fewer things to worry about. Vaccines are safe and effective and save lives. So let's get caught up on vaccines and worry about something else. Get the facts at ivaccinate.org.
April 18th is tax day this year, and to help you keep ahead of all the new rules in place and help you prevent having a conversation with the friendly folks over at the Internal Revenue Service, we are pleased to be joined now by Dr. Augustin Arbulu, President and COO of W Tax Group. Dr. Arbulu, thank you for being with us today.
You're welcome, Tyler. Just call me Augie.
Augie, okay, I will call you Augie then. Augie, of course, as I mentioned, April 18th is the day that taxes are due to be filed in the U.S. this year. Can you tell us, as we're approaching that date and people are preparing their taxes, either themselves individually, using an online service, maybe going to a CPA, whatever the case may be, what are some of the common mistakes that people may make on their taxes this year that could get them in some murky water, or at least having to do corrections with the IRS?
Oftentimes, it's really omission of income. It'll be either a W-2 or more likely a 1099 that they didn't include. You can get a 1099 for $5 that you interest you earned from an institution, or you get a 1099 that comes in late. Sometimes it hasn't yet come to the taxpayer, and by the time they file it, sometimes they file it early, it's not reported, and they just forgot. As you get older, people do tend to forget. Oftentimes, I will advise clients to take their time, maybe ask for an extension to make sure you have received all the necessary information to prepare your return.
And so, Augie, at W Tax Group, you and your fellow tax attorneys specialize in helping those who, for some reasons or another, may run into quote-unquote tax problems and have to make corrections, or may run into some legal issues with the IRS in correcting those issues. What are some of those common reasons or likely reasons that someone may have received a letter from the IRS, and then at that point, where does the process start? What should their immediate next moves be?
First of all, there's an incredible number of people who have not filed returns. The estimates are well over 25 million taxpayers in this country that have not even filed their tax returns. The average number of years that taxpayers haven't filed average about 6 years. So oftentimes the IRS will eventually catch up. They'll send a notice, we haven't received a return, and what's going on. And taxpayers, if they haven't filed their returns, they'll put it away. And it's also common with individuals. There's about 37% or more of Americans or taxpayers who are unable to meet their tax obligation. That is, they file their tax returns, but they owe money and they don't have the funds to take care of that. So what you're dealing with are non-filers, taxpayers who file their returns and are unable to take care of their tax obligation. I always advise clients that if you haven't filed your returns for years and eventually the IRS catches up to you, you want to get compliant. And we can talk about what compliant means. For people who are filing their returns but are not able to meet their tax obligations, they can think about an installment agreement. There are financially based installment agreements and there's non-financial based installment agreements. The IRS tends to be pretty flexible when it comes to non-financial, meaning you don't have to disclose your finance to get into a payment plan. You just need to be willing to come forth and see if we can work out a payment arrangement that meets with the taxpayers' monthly needs, and they can cover that. So there's a lot of different aspects. Regarding the non-filer, that's a bigger challenge because the IRS policy is to work out something with the IRS, you first have to be compliant. And from the IRS perspective, the policy on compliance, meaning you filed your returns and you've done everything you can to stay current filing your returns, it's 6 years. And so for 2021, they're looking back to 2016 and forward that you need to get all those returns filed to be compliant. And if you owe taxes, after you become compliant, you get the returns prepared and you show you owe taxes, is to then do a workout plan with the IRS, some form of a payment arrangement. And if you can't afford the kind of payment arrangement they're seeking, it could be because your finances won't allow that. And in that regard, we come into play. We help the taxpayer put together their finance to see what is affordable, as the IRS calls it, determine what your monthly disposable income is.
We're joined by Dr. Augustin Arbulu, President and COO of W Tax Group, joining us on the Megacast. So you mentioned getting compliant and then working out those plans for paying off whatever taxes you may not have paid back to the IRS over a number of years, upwards of 6 years or beyond. So if someone gets compliant, if someone is compliant but they haven't paid their taxes and they haven't worked out a plan with the IRS, what are some of the numerous penalties or legal troubles that a person can find themselves in for not properly filing and then, of course, properly paying what taxes they may owe?
Right. What happens is that when you haven't paid your taxes, the IRS begins to send you notices, reminder notices. You owe this amount. This is what. Please make arrangement to get it paid. And oftentimes people will ignore it. And then you get another notice, and then you get another notice. So there's a series of notices that the IRS sends out, each one getting a little more aggressive. To eventually where they will say, hey, this is your last notice. You got in the next 30 days, if you don't contact us and you don't make arrangements, we're going to levy you your account. We're either going to garnish your wages, we're going to take some action. And so the IRS has a number of tools available, from filing liens on property to levying, going after your bank accounts, garnishing your wages. And the last thing you want, if you are W-2, you're employed, is to have your wages garnished, because then it becomes a little challenging to get them removed. And the amount that they can take from a paycheck can be substantial. So you really do want to respond as soon as possible and seeing someone a professional that can help you work out those issues with the IRS. It's important. A lot of times people say, well, I can do that on my own. It's intimidating. It's scary for people to deal with the IRS. So I always advise them, get yourself a tax professional who specializes in working with the IRS and working out resolutions for a individual taxpayer.
Augie, another serious issue related to taxes is, of course, tax fraud. What are the more common types of tax fraud that is encountered by the IRS or in interactions between the IRS and taxpayers or agencies that may be paying taxes, such as businesses? And is it typically bad actors who are committing a fraud on purpose, or is it simple mistakes that people are making that add up over time and get them under scrutiny by the IRS?
Well, simple omissions can be explained, but if you are omitting income and your lifestyle does not reflect what you're reporting, then there's an issue. That's on the one hand, that's sort of an omission of income, that you don't report all the earnings that you make. But in today's day and age, with communication and technology the way it is, you're going to be able to decipher how much you're making. And if you think you're not, you're kidding yourself. The IRS has tools available to figure it out. They can access your bank accounts. They can look at your lifestyle and how you live. Is it way above what you're reporting? So that's an income omission issue. Then, of course, you have other people. A lot of times, businesses will report excessive expenses as a way of reducing what their taxable income is. You have to be prepared on both ends to substantiate how much income you really make and how much expenses, those expenses that you're incurring. And too often, people get lax and ignore both sides of it. Report what you have earned, that's reportable taxable income, and substantiate the expenses. The IRS will, at times, I've seen it often in the number of cases that I will deal with, that they forget to provide that substantiation. If you got alimony that at one time was deductible, we'll present the checks, present the proof that you've been making alimony payments to your former wife and you're deducting it, or other expenses, business-related expenses that you can prove. And those are the kinds of areas that you have to be careful about. And if you push it too far one way or the other, then you get into the realm of maybe fraud, that you are purposely evading from having to pay. If it's an honest mistake, we call it an honest mistake. But then you get to those individuals who think they can outsmart the taxing authorities, and I say that's virtually impossible to do.
Yeah, you want to do what's best for your bottom line, but you have to keep it within the books. You have to keep it within the letter of the law in order to take advantage of those benefits without trying to take advantage of the system, which can get you in legal trouble. We're joined by Dr. Augustin Arbulu, President and CEO of W Tax Group. You can learn more information on their website, wtaxattorney.com. That's wtaxattorney.com. Augie, back to just the average daily person, and on some more of a positive note, as people are filing their taxes this year, what are some of the common deductions that are often left on the table, and some deductions that are available this year that regular taxpayers like myself that may be filling out their taxes may overlook but be able to take advantage of?
Well, let's remember, we have a very generous standard deduction. At one time, you could be able to itemize, if you remember many years ago. But over the years, they have raised the standard deduction that it's virtually it's very difficult to itemize your expenses to exceed the standard deduction. So I always tell the client, just take your standard deduction. But then there are credits, charitable contribution. I think there's, and I'm not a tax preparer, and we can talk about the differences. I'm more about tax resolution. But in terms of some advantages, you've got earned income credits. You have a child tax credit if you have children that can qualify. You have the charitable contribution credits. So there are credits out there that are available, and you want to take full advantage of those that exist based on where you are income-wise. And for example, like charitable contribution credits, I think you can do, if you're married, up to $300 or $600, and you don't have to show any proof on that. That's automatically given to you.
So, Augie, you mentioned as you were answering that you as a tax attorney, you work primarily on resolution of tax-related issues, whereas there are those that may work on both resolution and preparation. So what is the difference between those agencies that and what they can do in working on resolution versus preparation of taxes?
Well, every year we have to prepare our returns. This country is built on voluntary disclosure and filing of your returns, as you know. And so you have to prepare your returns. I always advise people, get a professional to prepare your return. Don't do it on your own. I can't tell you how many cases I get with people who will tell me, I asked them, did you get your tax return was filed? Yes. Who prepared it? I prepared it. Not that TurboTax is bad or another software is bad, but you need a professional to be able to make sure all your deductions are in order and you are able to get the maximum benefits from having it properly prepared and filed. So that, to me, is number one. That's what tax preparation is all about. You have to have your returns filed before you can address issues that could arise from the fact that you filed returns the IRS is challenging. A lot of times they're challenging because you've omitted some income or you're claiming some expenses that they want you to provide evidence of those expenses. So let's do that. And I think that in this country, most people will aim to have all that supporting document. But for some reason, taxpayers, when they get that letter from the IRS, they ignore it, or they don't take the time to really carefully look at what the IRS is asking, respond to it timely. That's about tax resolution. That's about resolving challenges, push back with the IRS. And they understand that. And if you provide the evidence, you're going to be in a more strong footing to be able to claim the deductions or ensure that you're not paying any more than you need to be paying the IRS or any taxing authority.
Augie, just a few more minutes with you before we say goodbye. Any other tax-related issues that we haven't touched on today that would be important for our audience to be considering at this time as we approach April 18th?
Well, if we approach April 18th, I always, as we're getting older, I always say, have you gathered all the necessary information? And if you're not sure, you have the right to seek an automatic extension to October 15th of the year. Take advantage of it. So you can calmly make sure that you've gathered all the information you need, both on the income side, on the expense side, to be able to go to your tax preparer and have him or her put together the returns for filing. That would be something that I advise clients to do. And if you get a notice, if you get an IRS notice because there's an income discrepancy or they're asking for substantiation, don't ignore it. Get yourself a tax professional who can advise you, walk you through that. The last thing you want is to ignore that, because that's where you have opportunities to cost you less in terms of addressing what the IRS is seeking, as opposed to later on you're trying to reconstruct things. And a lot of times taxpayers can't do that. or it becomes too late and you can't challenge the claims of the IRS because you never challenged it in the first place.
Augie, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome, Tyler. Thank you so much for having me.
We may come from different organizations,
but we work together to protect the Huron River for everyone.
Most of the pollution that goes into our rivers is carried by rainwater that flows off of roads, parking lots, and rooftops.
The leaves and bark of a single tree can retain a surprising amount of rainwater. Depending on its size and species, it could be 100 gallons or more.
It is estimated that an urban forest can reduce annual runoff by up to 7%.
Here's one thing that we know can help keep our water clean.
Plant a tree.
Plant a tree.
Plant a tree.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
One of the things you can look for in your friends is a change in behavior.
These can be big changes, they can be small changes in mood, physical appearance.
They may be sleeping less or sleeping more, drinking more, or their eating patterns may be different.
One big change that can be pretty obvious is change in motivation. Do they no longer want to play basketball? Do they no longer want to play video games?
Now that we're spending more time online and in virtual settings, it's really important to pay attention to the language that your friend is using and the words they're using to communicate.
So when we text our friends, are they taking longer amounts of time to respond? Are they not responding at all? You don't have to be an expert to try to recognize these signs. The second that you feel it in your gut and that you're concerned, that's the second to have the conversation and open the door to what might be going on.
Whatever gets you talking.
Today, it is easier than ever to join Michigan's Organ Donor Registry and help build a bridge of hope for organ, tissue, and eye donation. Just one person can potentially save or help improve the lives of up to 75 people. By joining, your legacy could be the gift of life. Sign up today at michigan.gov/SOS or at any of the more than 145 Secretary of State self-service stations located across Michigan. Be part of Michigan's Bridge of Hope by adding your name to the Organ Donor Registry.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources, call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
If you are struggling to afford your internet bills during the pandemic, there's a temporary government program that may be able to help. It's called the Emergency Broadband Benefit, and it provides up to a $50 monthly discount on your broadband bill to qualifying households. Find more information about the program, including if you qualify and how to enroll, at fcc.gov/broadbandbenefit or call toll-free at 833-511-0311.
A public service announcement from 89.3 Lakes FM.
Whether you're the city,
the county,
or the Huron River Watershed Council,
we work together to protect water resources for everyone.
Most of the pollution entering our rivers is carried by rainwater that runs off roads, parking lots, and rooftops.
A rain garden helps catch stormwater runoff.
Rain gardens and their plants help dirty runoff soak into the ground.
You can do your part to help keep our water clean.
Learn about rain gardens and native plants.
So consider a rain garden in your home landscaping.
Catch the runoff with a rain garden.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
I couldn't breathe at all. There was lots of talk about putting me on a ventilator. I thought I was gonna die. I was 39 weeks pregnant and had a scheduled C-section. During that time, I got COVID and was hospitalized for a month. I had a blood clot in my lungs. It caused me to go into right-sided heart failure. I was really scared. I kept texting my husband and my mom. telling them how scared I was, and I was worried that he was gonna grow up without a mom. And then I was worried if, when I did get home, that he wouldn't know who I was. You know, being 27 and a mom and a wife and having that all almost taken away from me. It's scary. And if a vaccine can prevent that from happening, why not? Get your vaccine. I don't want this to happen to anybody else.
A message from the staff of Michigan's Crime Victim Compensation Program.
Anyone can be a victim of crime
and suffer lasting trauma, physically, emotionally, and financially.
But you are not alone.
If you're struggling financially due to a crime,
we're here
for you.
Find out if you qualify for crime victim compensation.
Call 877-251-7373 or visit michigan.gov/crime-victim.
A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Victim Services.
If you are struggling to afford your internet bills during the pandemic, there's a temporary government program that may be able to help. It's called the Emergency Broadband Benefit, and it provides up to a $50 monthly discount on your broadband bill to qualifying households. Find more information about the program, including if you qualify and how to enroll, at fcc.gov/broadbandbenefit or call toll-free at 833-511-0311.
A public service announcement from 89.3 Lakes FM.
You see certain things get reincarnated in your children. My daughter is very much inspired by my wife's artistic pursuits. So my daughter started making necklaces. She makes what we call affirmation fashion. I tell her every day that your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. And if there's anything better than being beautiful, it's being smart. And if there's anything better than being smart, it's being kind. And reaffirming that every day is our method of making sure her chin never drops. My dad wasn't around, and I remember riding a bike and falling off and cutting myself, and me never just wanting to get back on it. People ask, how your children learn how to ride a bike, and you did. I didn't teach them. I just created an environment where they taught themselves, and all I had to do was be there.
Welcome back to the Michigan Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe. To learn more about the program at civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find information on our entire network of stations, including My Michigan TV. Well, if you love the story Hamlet, well, then the title of this next production may not be for you, but certainly will be for you if you'll enjoy a good show. Joining us now on the Michigan Megacast is Jenni Clark and Alan Canning from Grosse Pointe Theater's production of I Hate Hamlet. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate having both of you on. Let's start with Jenni. Can you tell us about yourself and when you began acting, and ultimately what led you to the Grosse Pointe Theater?
Well, Tyler, I have been performing all my life. I started in elementary school and all the way through college and high school, and I started with community theater when I graduated and moved up here, and I've been very active at Grosse Pointe Theater for nearly 30 years. I started my first performance there was in '92 with Noises Off, and I've just done a combination of musical theater and acting for as long as I can remember.
Alan, same thing to you. Tell us about your journey to the Grosse Pointe Theater and how you began or got into acting.
Oh, geez, I started late. I kind of connected with my wife through an off-Broadway production of Tony and Tina's Wedding, which was kind of my first foray into anything theatrical, and that wasn't until I was about 34. And I don't know, I got the bug and I started, going for everything I could possibly get. And I ended up at Grosse Pointe Theater to do a production called Exonerated, which was very cool. And just kept on going from there. I don't have the tenure that Miss Jenni has over there, but I really love the theater and all the people over there. It's, in my opinion, it's one of the best run theaters in town. It really is, business wise and everything else. But yeah, that's kind of where I came from. And like I said, I started late, so I'm new to the party.
So both of you will be performing in I Hate Hamlet, which is being put on by the Grosse Pointe Theater April 1st through 3rd and April 7th through 10th. For those that aren't familiar with the production, Alan, can you tell us about the play, what I Hate Hamlet is all about, and what the audience can expect?
Well, first off, I hate Hamlet. The play is very well written. Originally, I signed on to be the fight choreographer, sword training guy, probably about a year before it even got started. And eventually, I read the script, I went through it, and I thought it was great. I thought, well, what the heck? Might as well jump in with both feet and actually be in the thing. So auditioned, and here we are. It's about Andrew Raleigh, the character. He's a kind of a commercial LA guy, a commercial actor guy. And he is kind of a cheeseball, but he gets to play Hamlet in the park, which is a serious acting role. And he gets an apartment, which turns out to be John Barrymore's former apartment. John Barrymore is who I play, actually the ghost of John Barrymore. And old John comes back and tries to give him some pointers, and the whole Hamlet thing, which he's not familiar with. And Jenny and the rest of the girls are the ones that kind of get him there, and they do a seance, and it's funny stuff. It's definitely funny stuff.
And so then, Jenny, what about I Hate Hamlet makes it an interesting experience, or will make it an interesting experience for those theater goers that will be viewing the play?
Well, it's a comedy. It's you have this actor who comes into town, and he doesn't want to do Hamlet, but he's kind of talked into it by his German agent, and so and I am his girlfriend, and I love Hamlet. I think Hamlet is like the be all and end all, the greatest play ever written. I'm romantically engaged with the concept of him playing Hamlet. So the audience will watch this young man who doesn't want anything to do with it discover how great the play is and become very playful. And John Barrymore comes in as a ghost who, very few people can even see, and he orchestrates everything that happens. And it's just funny to watch. It's got sword fighting, it's got a little romance, it's got a little playfulness. So it's got everything that makes a play enjoyable to watch. Plus, it's based on the concept of, to be or not to be. And here we all are, creating a show after the pandemic and making people laugh again in a live theater as part of Grosse Pointe Theater's 74th season. And it's very exciting to do.
We're joined by Jenni Clark and Alan Canning from the Grosse Pointe Theater. Their production of I Hate Hamlet begins on April 1st, runs April 1st through 3rd and 7th through the 10th at the Grosse Pointe Theater in the newly renovated Parcells Middle School Auditorium. Tickets available on gpt.org/Hamlet. That's gpt.org/Hamlet. And so, Jenny, Alan told us a little bit about his character, about the ghost of John Barrymore. Tell us a little bit about your character and how they factor into this story.
Well, my character is Deirdre McAfee, and I am Andrew's girlfriend. I love Hamlet. I'm somewhere between a mix of a Valley girl and a Jane or a Bronte heroine. So I think of myself very dramatically, and I'm very earnest with what I do, though. So my character just loves the idea of Hamlet, and I do everything I can to support Andrew's quest. But I also have the fact that one of the elements for Andrew is that I'm a 29-year-old virgin, and I refuse to sleep with him until I'm really sure. So there's this whole element of Hamlet and his angst, and he, and it just is a fun role to play. And I'm very overdramatic, and I'm very romantic, and I see myself as Juliet or Ophelia. And I'm also a terrible actress when it comes down to performing with him. When I have this feeling that I'm just the end, and I'm just so dramatic and romantic, and it's just a fun role to play, to just get out there and have fun.
And so, Alan, Jenny mentioned the parallels between the story of Hamlet, which plays, of course, a significant role in the storyline of I Hate Hamlet, and kind of those parallels to the world that we're living in coming out of the pandemic slowly but surely. For you, getting back in the theater in an in-person experience across the board with your castmates, of course, with you originally getting into this play as a choreographer for the fight scenes and having that in-person interaction, and then of course performing this production in person. What's it been like for you to get back into the theater now that we've got COVID-19 mostly in the rearview mirror at this point?
I'm not worried about it. I was in a production of Virginia Woolf a couple of years before even COVID even hit, and I decided to take a little bit of time. So I've been kind of off for 3, 4, or 5 years or whatever it was, all through COVID. My wife and I got it early on, and we got rid of that, and then we're good. I just continue on with the process, and it really doesn't bother me at all. I don't know. Like you said, it's in the rearview mirror. That's great. So let's get on with it, and let's do some theater, man. Let's get on with it.
And so Jenni, for you too, same question, same line of questioning as Alan. For you, as someone that has a little more experience in acting in your past than Alan has, and having experienced what theater was like before the pandemic in a number of different capacities during the pandemic, and now as we're starting to emerge out from the pandemic here in the U.S., what's the experience been like for you?
Well, Grosse Pointe Theater is a very healthy, focused place. I mean, it's really one of the best places to do theater in town. As Alan mentioned earlier, it's a great supportive community. The leadership's excellent. The executive director really has set some great protocols. So we all felt very safe during the rehearsal process. It's just great to get back to live theater and have an audience out there, and to know that we will make them laugh. I mean, I think there's been a period of time where we've all been shut away and we didn't get to enjoy it. My husband does theater again with Grosse Pointe Theater, and he did some singing in the streets to keep bringing live theater out to people in our community. And it's great to come back now and to stand up there and to deliver lines that we know will make people laugh, that will connect. Everybody up there will find somebody on the stage that they can watch. There's different things. The set is gorgeous. I mean, it was designed by Jackie DeSante, and it's this old apartment. It's supposed to be Barrymore's old apartment. So, I think that this is giving people an invitation to come back out there and enjoy theater again. And it's going to be a fun time.
And then, so Jenni, for those that may be interested in going to the theater and seeing this production, what about I Hate Hamlet is going to be the great draw for people that maybe they're not really into the theater, maybe they're not really into comedy, but this is the show that could be, for, like you said, for anybody. What's going to be that draw?
Well, I think there's a little bit of everything. I think when you think of entertainment, sword fighting has got to be right up there. And there's this brilliantly staged sword fight at the end of Act 1 between Barrymore and Andrew that will, is just, I think, is one of the highlights of any Shakespearean type of production. There's also lively characters, people that they will find amusing, people that they will find dramatic or romantic, or just things that they can relate to. I think live theater can appeal to anyone. Even if you don't like Shakespeare, you will love I Hate Hamlet, because the script is brilliant, it's funny, it's got a little bit of something for everyone, and it's just going to be a beautiful production.
We're joined by Jenni Clark and Alan Canning from the Grosse Pointe Theater. Joining us on the Michigan Megacast, their production of I Hate Hamlet begins on April 1st, runs April 1st through 3rd and 7th through 10th through the Grosse Pointe Theater at the newly renovated Parcells Middle School Auditorium. Get your tickets and more information on their website at gpt.org/Hamlet. That's the Grosse Pointe Theater's website, gpt.org/Hamlet. Alan, what are you most excited for in the performance of this production?
Getting people out again, getting people to laugh, like Jenni said. It's been kind of a long process, and it's been very, depressing, if you will, getting people locked away and whatnot. It's going to be great to get them in the audience, preferably without masks, and just hanging out again, laughing. And I've got buddies from high school that probably have never seen any of the stuff that I do. And they're saying, we're going to come out. We're going to come out. And for them to come out, I mean, these are guys, these are kind of like meat and potato guys. They don't go to the theater. Let's put it that way. So I haven't seen them in a long time. It's going to be great to get them in the audience. hearing them laugh, and including everybody in the community. That's going to be the big thing. It's just getting them to laugh and get them to have a good time again, you know?
We're joined by Jenni Clark and Alan Canning, cast members of the Grosse Pointe Theater's production of I Hate Hamlet, April 1st through 3rd and 7th through 10th at the Parcells Middle School Auditorium, newly renovated, so a great environment over there. More information on the Grosse Pointe Theater's website, gpt.org/Hamlet. That's gpt.org/Hamlet, where you can purchase tickets, learn more about the program, and any restrictions or requirements that may be in place when you do go to the theater. Alan, Jenni, anything else for us before we'll say goodbye today?
Well, I'd have... Come on out. Come see the show. Come enjoy. Come meet. Come discover Grosse Pointe Theater.
Alan, anything else?
I just want to make it clear that I hate.
Well, you can too out there in the audience watching on the Michigan Megacast. If you hate Hamlet, go support them in their hatred of Hamlet in the production of I Hate Hamlet at the Grosse Pointe Theater, April 1st through 3rd and 7th through 10th. Jenni, Alan, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
I love Hamlet.
More information on the Grosse Pointe Theater's website, gpt.org/Hamlet. That's gpt.org/Hamlet. Again, April 1st through 3rd, and then 7th through 10th, so that you can curb your hatred for Hamlet a little bit in between those two showings, and go out and see this production of I Hate Hamlet at the Grosse Pointe Theater multiple times at the Parcells Middle School Auditorium, newly renovated. Tickets and more information on their website, gpt.org/Hamlet. We're going to take a break here on the Michigan Megacast. On the other side, as we continue to witness from afar the crisis in Ukraine with the Russian invasion, people are willing to donate money and willing to donate goods to support the humanitarian efforts over there. However, that creates opportunities for scam artists to rob you and the good people of Ukraine and around the world of much needed resources. We'll be joined by the Michigan Better Business Bureau's Melanie Ducanel coming up next to talk about how you can best avoid these charity scams and donation scams. That's all up next. This is the Michigan Megacast.
Motorcyclists are hard to see. To keep everyone safer, it's important to always look for them and know where most crashes occur. 84% of motorcycle and vehicle crashes happen on streets, not highways. And most crashes with motorcyclists occur when vehicle drivers are turning left. So before turning, especially to the left, make sure you look for motorcyclists. Then look again. It could save a life.
To Sophia and Gabriel. Even though these old knees can't follow on your adventure to the forest today, these flowers represent my love. These stitches and threads join us together. And wherever you see a flower, a bird, a beautiful tree, know that my love is with you.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
72.7% of high school students get less than the recommended 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. This can cause pain, obesity, and can very negatively affect your mental health. When you have a consistent 7 to 9 hours of sleep every day, you get sick less often, lose more weight, and have better relationships with those around you. For more information about the dangers of sleep deprivation, go to sleepfoundation.org. This message is brought to you by the WBHS Digital Media Arts Program and 89.3 Lakes FM.
Joining us now from the Michigan Better Business Bureau is their president and CEO, Melanie Ducanel, back with us on the Megacast. Melanie, thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for having us, Tyler.
Appreciate it. So, as we all know, as we've seen over the past nearly 2 weeks at this point, tragedy in Ukraine as the Russian army has launched a full-scale invasion of the sovereign nation of Ukraine, a refugee crisis we haven't seen since World War II. Over 1.5 million people already have fled the country and counting. There is a great need for help for those in Ukraine, and many charities, many organizations across the world are going on the front lines to help those of Ukrainian descent overseas that are fleeing Ukraine, and especially those that are in Ukraine. However, like with any other crisis, like with any other charitable opportunity that people are looking to tap into and to help with the cause of, that also leads to the doors opening for scammers to get out there and take advantage of the generosity of people. Let's start off with what people should be looking out for when they're looking to donate to these organizations that are looking to help those in Ukraine or help those that are helping those in these areas. What should they be looking out for in order to determine that this is a legitimate charity?
So first and foremost, have you ever heard of the charity before? Many people are thinking because it's a Ukrainian need, you may not have heard of the charity. There are global charities out there like American Red Cross. Even though it says American, their Red Cross actually connects on a global scale. So that's just one example. But when you're looking at the charity, do they have the ability to provide the services to the Ukrainians, either at the border or within their country? Were they already there before the war started? Because getting into the country now to provide services and humanitarian aid is really challenging when so many are leaving the country and trying to establish infrastructure for any kind of humanitarian need is going to be daunting right now in light of all the war that's going on.
And so when we see these opportunities to help people across the world, even help people right here in the U.S. pop up, whatever the crisis may be, a natural disaster or a human-made disaster, we do, as I mentioned before, see these scams pop up. So far, even given that it's only been a relatively short amount of time, just under 2 weeks since the invasion of Ukraine began, is the Better Business Bureau seeing a rash of these scam artists begin to make these charity scams related to Ukraine, and just how much of a problem has it already been for consumers?
Well, it hasn't been a real problem yet. It hasn't kind of gotten its sea legs yet, but recognize that it is happening. There are just people that may have not brought it to our attention. Because we're talking about a foreign country, people think that they have to do things in a very different way. So they may not have realized that they've given personal information. They may not have realized that they have given away their credit card number. So sometimes the return of the bad news has not yet hit because it has only been 2 weeks. But probably the easiest place where these kind of scams pop up is what we affectionately called crowdfunding sites, GoFundMe, those kind of things. What is interesting about GoFundMe, which is a BBB accredited business, we are working with them diligently to make sure that they don't have any replicated pictures that really don't belong to the owner of that new outreach. So when you're looking at a site like a GoFundMe, look at how many times a particular picture may pop up and saying that they're this charity or this family that's trying to do some good work. If that picture multiplies itself more than once, it's a red flag. Step back, do your due diligence, look at who's the one that's organizing this. Is it a national or international charity? What are they doing to, what kind of aid are they providing? And then do some verifications on that group. You know, step away from the GoFundMe, open up a new browser window, look at what that charity does. And then ask around, ask your friends, go to give.org, which is our sister organization called the Wise Giving Alliance. We accredit charities on 20 standards of trust. And when you're looking at that, we put them through the paces to make sure that they're supposed to do what they advertise that they're doing.
We're joined by Melanie Ducanel, the president and CEO of the Michigan Better Business Bureau, joining us on the Megacast as we talk about charity scams, and we see these things develop when these do start to develop. You mentioned that some of these scams, we haven't really seen a big problem with them just yet because they haven't quite developed their sea legs, as you said. They haven't really nailed down their strategy and been able to affect a wide range of people. As that does happen, as people have been scammed in the currently or in the future by these nefarious actors, what are some steps that they can take, or what are steps that organizations like yourself and certainly law enforcement can take in order to counteract the actions of these people that are taking advantage of the generosity of others?
Well, first, if you're going to donate money to an organization that you may not have any real connection to, if you have the means to have a separate credit card, never give with a debit card because you're giving them direct access to your checking or savings account. But if you have a separate credit card that has a very low maximum credit amount, let's say $500, and you're willing to potentially lose $500, then you can use that credit card. But when you use a debit card and you leave that debit card open, you run the risk of them coming back to get more money out of that account. So again, the credit card allows you some protections. If in fact you come to find that your money didn't go to the right charity that you thought you were giving to, you can go back to the credit card company and they can attempt, not guarantee, they can attempt to get your money back.
We're joined by Melanie Ducanel, the president and CEO of the Michigan Better Business Bureau, joining us on the Megacast. And so even some legitimate organizations, some legitimate charities or organizations that will be doing relief work here in the U.S. or around the world with different crises, such as, of course, the invasion of Ukraine and the war that is underway over there in Eastern Europe, some of them will be doing great work, but they'll also not entirely be giving all of their funding that's through donations to that specific work. So when we see claims of 100% will be spent on relief, does that actually mean 100%, or is there a way for consumers that are willing to donate to these organizations to verify whether or not the entirety of their donation is actually going to be going toward what they're donating for?
Historically, the way that a donor can mandate that it goes to a specific cause is to have actually a pretty sizable donation where they are going to put it in an endowment or do something of that sort, where they can really make the donation what they call restricted. But in a general situation where you're just going through a text giving platform or you're donating online, those funds can generally be used, multiple words, general fund, where the charity can use it wherever they need it. When they say that 100% will be spent on relief, it's a red flag, because the cost of getting the materials there, to acquire the materials, the staffing cost, what do they really mean by what 100% of that cost is? And if it does include all that, they may be accurate in their statement, but you have to pick at the points to make sure that they say what they're going to do, or they're going to do what they're going to say, what they say.
We're joined by Melanie Ducanel, the president and CEO of the Michigan Better Business Bureau, joining us on the Megacast. And so, Melanie, when scams do pop up, how often do these scams develop? Is it usually a group of people? Is it usually individuals that are perpetrating these scams? And just how extensive can these, especially charity scams, end up getting?
Extensive from the charity scam can be a Bernie Madoff. Bernie Madoff went after all kinds of charities and higher education, as well as daycares that were in his community. So the scam can morph itself into something huge. But let's talk about the recent tornado that happened yesterday in Iowa.
Yeah.
You're going to find people that are going to want to donate, want to send clothes, want to send food, and they don't necessarily know how to get it there. That's when going with a more national charity for direction and guidance is really helpful, just to make sure your investment in that charity or in the people of the Ukraine or Iowa get the funds you want them to. You know, it is maddening to donate to something and they haven't used it in the manner in which you had thought they would. So understanding when you go to write the check or you hand them your credit card, what do you really want the funds to go to? The Ukrainian Center in Warren right now is collecting goods and shipping it overseas. Recognize that it's going to take several weeks for those things to get there, because they have to go through customs on both sides. We don't know exactly where in Poland, Moldova, wherever the country is outside of the Ukraine, where they're going to be able to set up shop and get these things deployed. So recognize patience is imperative, but also your homework is probably even more important. Just to understand how they're going to do it, where they're going to do it, how long is it going to take, and are you going to get any recognition of your investment? So depending again on how much you donate to a charity, they may send you some pictures of what's going on, how your money's being deployed. And those are really helpful, but it isn't always a guarantee that you're going to have your money going exactly where they say.
And that's all the more reason why it's really important before you're donating to a charity or a nonprofit that you're not entirely familiar with, that you do your research. Even if it isn't a legitimate organization, you want to make sure you know what you're getting involved with. So for those that are interested in donating, for those that are in need of doing that research, where are some good places for them to start, Melanie?
So we have a list on give.org/news/wisegiving. And if you were just to go to give.org and put Ukraine, we have a list of about 20 accredited charities that are really focused on Ukrainian relief. So as an example, looking at this, the AmeriCares Foundation, Care USA, Catholic Relief Services, Mercy Corps, Salvation Army, Operation USA, Save the Children, and that there's quite a few more after that. But we've already accredited these charities. We have verified through our standards of trust with them that they do what they say they're going to do and how they're going to do it. So maybe start there, because we've done the homework for you. But if you have a friend through Facebook that all of a sudden says, hey, so-and-so is saying we should donate through here, take a step back, look at a different way to do it, because sadly, at least 60% of the time, I want to say 9 times out of 10, but I'm not 100% sure on that one, but at least 60% of the time, you don't know where that money went. You can't verify it. There's no paper trail, and you can't make sure that what you want to have done was done.
We're joined by Melanie Ducanel, the president and CEO of the Michigan Better Business Bureau, joining us on the Megacast. Of course, the website she's mentioning through Better Business Bureau partnerships is give.org. Go to give.org. Top of that page, there's going to be a link to news. If you go to there at the top of the page, on that next page over, you'll have a link at the top that says Give Wisely. It'll give information on how to do that research, how to look into some of these organizations you may be donating to, and that page she mentioned about donating to causes in support of the Ukrainians, both in Ukraine currently and those who have fled the country, to make sure you're donating to accredited charities. That's give.org. You can also learn more information from the Better Business Bureau directly at bbb.org. Melanie, here in the state of Michigan, outside of these charity scams at this time, are there any other common scams that we're seeing afflicting consumers in the state of Michigan that people should be aware of?
Well, it's that time of year. It's called the IRS tax scam. Mm-hmm. We're all getting our taxes together, giving it to our accountants, or trying to do it on our own, and out of the blue you get the call from a tax man or woman saying that you're delinquent. And it's all driven on fear, hoping that, for goodness sakes, you're going to be just a little uncertain and you're going to go pay for your taxes with a gift card. The IRS never will ask you to pay for your taxes with a gift card. Additionally, the IRS never will call you and demand immediate payment. So the IRS always starts with what I affectionately call snail mail. If they have a problem with your taxes, they have a couple of questions about your tax return, they're going to send you a letter, a regular old letter. And then you're going to have a direct person to contact, and you know the system on which that all will occur. When you get out of the blue, and it actually comes through as text messages too. So be aware that they don't care if it's your cell phone or your home phone. And sometimes they'll even send you an email, because their intention is to overwhelm their email systems or overwhelm the phone system, and find that one person that is just a little unsure to, excuse the expression, but pull the trigger and go get those gift cards to pay their taxes. They're never going to pay their taxes that way. They're paying somebody else. So even though the phone number may look like it's from the IRS, don't believe it, because caller ID in this particular situation can be fibbed, can be flat out lying to you. So you want to make sure that if the IRS does call, say thank you, I will call you guys back, and then start the process over directly. Go to the IRS website, irs.gov, and they have contact means through that, and then start it that way. Do not engage anybody on the telephone for the IRS.
Yeah, what's the IRS going to do with a gift card anyway? You gotta think about that. What do they need a gift card for? They're not.
Maybe they had some presents they needed to give. Maybe it's a baby shower or a wedding. Or
here's the present. Here's the present you give to those IRS officials that are asking for your gift card. You take the phone, you hang up on them. There's your present. Melanie, thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything else at this time that we haven't discussed that would be important for Michiganders to be considering at this moment?
Just if you have any questions, give us a call. We can walk you through anything. So especially robocalls are coming. If you get a robocall, hang up. There's no value in a robocall these days that I am aware of, unless it's your DTE or Consumers Energy is because you've got no power. But that being said, just if you have any questions, give us a call. You can reach us Monday through Friday from 8 until 4:30. So, we're here. We can listen to any and all problems, and we're more than willing to help you get through it.
Melanie, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you to everyone that joined us on today's edition of the Michigan Megacast. Melanie Ducanel from the Michigan Better Business Bureau, Alan Canning and Jenni Clark from the Grosse Pointe Theater, Augustine Arbulu from W Tax Group, as well as Jarrett Schlaff from Pingree, Detroit, and Katie Dubin from Oakland University. View all these interviews on demand on our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast. They're usually posted there sometime mid to late afternoon, so you can watch them on your time, as well as our full episode, and learn more about each and every one. For partnering TV, radio, and web outlets that join us every single day, live from 10 a.m. to 12 noon, as well as live to tape and for replays throughout the afternoons, evenings, and weekends as well. CivicCenterTV.com/megacast. Also, highly encourage you to go to our coronavirus page, CivicCenterTV.com/coronavirus, where, yes, COVID-19 cases in the state of Michigan, not nearly as severe as it has been over the last several months with the Omicron variant, but still plenty for you to learn and to keep up to date with on COVID-19 as we slowly emerge out of the pandemic, hopefully. CivicCenterTV.com/coronavirus links to the CDC, the MDHHS, and the Oakland County Health Division's COVID-19 specific web pages so you can stay up to date with updated expert resources and reliable resources on the front lines of the pandemic. Also on a coronavirus page, each and every day, the top stories making headlines across the Great Lakes state so you can stay up to date on everything that's happening here in the state of Michigan beyond our interviews on the Michigan Megacast. Also, big thank you to our crew, our technical director, Calvin Brown, our producer, the king of television himself, Larry Nyland, getting everybody booked and ready to be on the program and helping us get ready to have informative interviews with them. Jared Clark, our Zoom producer at the office of My Michigan TV, and Maddie Mustian out at Master Control helping us on and off the air. Coming up next on My Michigan TV, it's Steve Leto Live, followed by Larry and Maddie Live. We will return Tuesday at 10 a.m.